Okay, we're simplifying exponent properties here. Okay, so we've got, just assume everything's on top of the line. We have a 3a to the negative 1 with a negative 1 power. So your bases are 3 and a. Okay, number 3, letter A. So 3 to the 1, but it's not in parentheses, so you keep it to the 1. And the A is negative 1, not in parentheses either. Now the second box, now this is your new box here. That's deciding which stays and which switches. Here's what I mean by that. Look at the base 3. Does it have a negative or a positive exponent? It's got a positive. That's a stay. Okay. Now that has a negative exponent. That's a switch. So you switch the A to the other side of the line so its exponent becomes positive. Then 3 to the 1, it simplifies to 3. And A to the 1 is that one. Just stays. Okay, now the line's drawn, so on top you have a number base of 16, and on bottom you have a number base of 4 times a letter base of A. So you got 16 to the 1, stays to the 1. Then 4 to the 1, that stays to the 1, because none of this is in parentheses, so I just put the exponent that's there. So this 16, that 1's a positive, that's a stay. This 4, that 1's a positive, so that's a stay. Now when I write stay, if it's on the bottom, it stays on the bottom. Now this guy here, he has a negative power, that's a switch. So when you write switch, you ask yourself a simple question. Where's it at now, top or bottom? It's on bottom. Switching it would take it up to the top. So 16 to the first is 16, and then A to the 4. 4 to the first is 4. Okay, this one here, you have a base 6, power's a negative 3, but you need to switch it. So gee, it's on top now. When you switch it, it's going to go to the bottom, and then it becomes positive. Now when you come over here, you need something on top, and when you don't have anything, you put a 1, and then 6 to the third, you can simplify. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. So it's not, it's 1 over 2, it's a fraction, 1 over 216. Okay, next one, number base of 4, and then on bottom you got a letter base of x. So 4 is a negative 3, x is a 1. So that's a negative 3, that's a switch. So it's on top, it switches to the bottom, and it becomes a positive 3. That's a stay, so it's on bottom, so you have it stay on bottom. Now you cover up the top with a 1, 4 to the third. That's 64. And then the x to the 1 can't be simplified, so it's 1 over 64 times x to the power of 1. Okay, next one, we have a 5 with a negative 3 power. So you just have a number base 5, and its power is cut and dry. It's negative 3. That's a switch. Okay, so it's on top. It switches to the bottom where it goes to positive 3. Cover the top with a 1, and then 5 to the third. It's 125. But you need the 1 over the top of it. Okay, next problem, we have a number base of 5, and then a letter base of A. And then we have a number base of 2, and a letter base of C. None of this is in parentheses, so just go 1, A to the negative 4, and then on bottom you got 2, 1, and C1. Now can you cross, since you started with things on the bottom, can you cross any? You can't cross out the 2 and you can't cross out the C, so it stays. Okay, 1, that's positive, that's a stay, so the 5 stays where it's at. Then that's a switch, okay? So the A switches, it's on top, so it would need to switch to the bottom where it becomes a 4. That's a stay, so it's on bottom, it stays on the bottom. okay? And then that's a stay, okay? So everything's that stay in its position. It's that one that moves, so it becomes a positive 4. Now 5 to the 1's 5, okay? You really should simplify your number first and then put the letters, but that's just me. Times A4 times C1. I guess it doesn't really matter that much, but kind of the number's supposed to come in front. Okay, next problem. We have a number base A, and then letter bases we have X and Y. So A to the 1, that's positive, so it stays. Or no, wait a second, it's a 1, sorry. A 3 and a negative 5. You don't have any parentheses, that's why you're just putting them what you see. That's a stay. That's a stay. That's a switch, so the Y moves to the bottom where it becomes a positive 5. A to the 1, that's 8 times X 3, and then Y to the 5th. Okay, next problem line. You have a number base of 11 on top, you have an X on top, you have a Y on top. The Y has a negative 1 power, and then V has a negative 3 power. Okay, so, and then a V on bottom. So 11, you would put a 1 there. So it would just stay a 1 because it's not in parentheses. X, you'd have a 1. It just stays a 1 because it's not in a parentheses. And Y has a negative 1 power already. It would stay. And then V has a negative 3 power. What of this do I have to switch? Well, that's a 1, so that's a stay. ST means stay. That's a 1, so that's a stay. That's a negative, that's a switch. So you set your Y to the bottom and it becomes 1. Okay. That's a negative, that's a switch. Okay, so it's on bottom and it needs a switch. That would mean then it switches to the top. Okay, so 11 to the 1's 11. And then you have your variables X1 and V3. And then bottom you have Y to the 1st. Okay. Can't multiply any of that. Okay, so remember everything's, if you don't see a line, then you're going to have every base on top. So you have a number base 8, a letter base X, a letter base Y. So your 8's to the 1, it is not in parentheses, so it would be a 1. If it doesn't have a power, you put a 1 there. Now this X already has a negative 3 power. This Y has a 4 power. Okay, that 1, that's a stay. It means keep it where it's at. You need 3 lines. This negative 3, that's a switch. So you switch the X to the bottom so it can become a positive 3. And then this is a stay. Okay, 8 to the 1 is 8, and then you have Y to the 4, and X to the 3. Okay, underline it. So you have number bases, you have 2. You want to put those together, 4 times 6. And then the letter bases, you have X and Y. Okay. So 4 with a 1, it would stay a 1. 6 with a 1, it would stay a 1. X has a negative 7 power, it would stay a negative 7. Y has a negative 3 power. So this 1, that's a stay. This 1, that's a stay. This 7, that's a switch. This negative 3, that's a switch. So you move the Y to the bottom, it switches to a 3. So 4 to the 1 is 4. 6 to the 1 is 6. Then X7 times Y3. Okay, 4 times 6 gets multiplied into 24. So 24 over X to the 7 times Y to the 3. Okay, next one, bases. You have a 14 as your number base and a Y as your letter base. So 14's to the 1, so it will stay to the 1. Y is to the negative 4, so it stays to the negative 4. So the 1, that's a switch, that's a stay, my bad, because it's positive power. -4 power, that's a switch, because you need a +4 power. And then 14 to the first is 14. Y4 would just remain the same. 14 over y to the fourth. Okay, my next problem, I have 2 to the -2. That's a 9 to the -2. So you have a number base 2 on top, a number base of 9 on bottom. They would both have a -2. But that's a switch. So it's on top. You switch it to the bottom so that the little power can become a positive. Now that's negative, that's a switch. So gee, if it's on bottom, switching it would take it to the top where it becomes a 2. So they really just switch places there because they both had negative powers. Now 9 to the second, that'd be 9 times 9, that's 81. 2 to the second, that's 2 times 2, which would be 4. So it's 81 over 4. Okay, next problem, number base 1 on top, letter base M on bottom. So 1 would just be to the 1, okay? And then M would be a -6, so the 1 to the 1 is a stay. But this -6, that's a switch. So you need to switch the M from the bottom to the top so it becomes positive. 1 to the 1 is 1, and then M to the 6th. Okay, next problem, you have a number base 4, letter A, letter B, letter C. So 4 to the 1, A to the 2, B to the -2, C to the 3. So that's a stay. That's a stay. That's a switch. 3, that's a stay. 4 to the 1 is 4. C3, B2. Okay, 3 to the -3, so you have a base 3, -3. That's a switch, so you move the 3 to the bottom and it becomes a 3. Now you need a 1 on the top, so 3 to the 3. It's 27, 1 over 27. Okay, 6 to the -4 power. Okay, so we have a negative power. It's a 6, it's a -4, that's a switch, so 6 switches to the bottom where it becomes a 4. You need a 1 on top. If you don't have anything on top, you put a 1 there. Then 6 to the 4th would mean we'd take 6 times 6 times 6, and that's 1,296.